More now with our Trump voters panel ahead of the 100-day mark. Is the president living up to his campaign promises? Here's how they feel today. Let's look at objectively what he has accomplished thus far and some things that he has not yet. So these are some of the campaign promises, and you can see them up here on your screen. He said that he would nominate a conservative judge to the Supreme Court. Success.
Yes.
Which is important.
Exactly.
And you're all happy with that.
Yes.
Okay. He said he would withdraw from the trade agreement, Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP. Success.
Yes.
That's
We're all pleased.
Bernie loved that, actually.
Okay. He has tried twice at a travel ban. The courts have shot it down.
I don't think it's a ban. I don't view it as a travel ban.
What do you
That's
see
a
it
very...
as?
I
That's
think
what it's labeled, and that's what he called it.
That's what he's called it.
But I don't think that's truly what the intentions are.
Okay, but either way, it has not. It has failed. Or it is incomplete. He said that he would build the wall with Mexico.
Well, we already have
That's
contractors.
just an absurdity.
No, I don't think it's absurd. I don't think it's absurd. I think the wall will be built. He's already getting contractors and things.
But Eileen, you thought when he promised it on the campaign trail, did you think it was
build the wall?
Yes.
I thought that was absurd.
And did you think he would ever do it? You didn't take it as a serious promise?
I didn't take it as a serious promise. I thought he was saying this euphemistically to say build a wall, keeping people down, but not a physical wall like the
metaphorically. What did you think, Susan?
I thought he definitely meant a physical wall. I think that there are plenty of people who would take mortar and bricks and help build that wall.
And do you think it's still going to happen?
I do. I think that that's probably in the works. I think he's probably still looking at his promises, and he's probably got a whole list of those things. He's a doer.
So you still believe that he will do it? He will pull it off. Yeah. He will build an actual physical wall against Mexico.
I think he will.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, I see all the stuff that you put up here in his first 100 days. First 100 days, he is working down a list of what he has to accomplish. He is accomplishing things, and some things aren't going to be that first 100 days. But you know what? And a lot of people out there who've never been in politics, who've never been elected, don't get it. They think that, 100 days, I'm going to have everything, checklist, everything's going to be done. But it doesn't get done in 100 days.
Here's a learning curve.
Let me ask both of you who still are quite happy with what you're seeing with President Trump. Paula, what have you liked best?
I like the fact that he does talk to the people. I don't care about being on Twitter. I don't read Twitter anyway. I like the fact that he's communicating with us. I like the fact...
Communicating with you through Twitter?
I don't know, when I watch TV. You know, when I see him on TV.
He lies on Twitter.
And what has he lied about?
Everything.
What's everything?
Everything.
I should get two examples.
This is very blatant.
Hold on, I want to hear what he's going to say.
He said they wiretapped his building in New York City. Now, who on this panel actually believes that the government went into Trump Tower and wiretapped his building?
Go ahead. You believe it.
Already had it.
So, Susan, hold on. I want to hear that. So, Susan, you believe him?
I do.
What's your evidence?
And I have no evidence. But I know what they're doing. I know what's happening on the federal level, and I know that it's possible. And I know that there may never be evidence.
And he got on Twitter and he said they're still wiretapping my building after his own security staff told him in a closed-door meeting that it didn't happen. And he still the next day got up and wrote on Twitter, they wiretapped my building.
Go ahead.
What I believe was happening is they had taps on people that he was communicating with on a daily basis. So he was the collateral damage, as it were, in those tapes.
You believe that the federal government was wiretapping candidate Trump's campaign aides when they were talking to him, not when they were talking to foreign agents.
I think they monitored their phone calls.
You think they monitored their phone calls, not foreign agents' phone calls, and that's how they were caught up in surveillance?
I believe that it's come out that they were wiretapping people that were speaking to Trump, and therefore he was recorded.
Who? Which people?
I don't clearly remember what I'd heard, but I did hear through the news media that some of the people he was communicating with...
Americans or foreign?
Maybe it was foreign, but I do say that he was in conversation with people, and while his phones may not have actually been tapped, there were people that were being tapped, and he was the other party on the phone.
You believe that his campaign aides, Paul Manafort, Carter Page, Michael Flynn, were themselves being wiretapped by the Obama government. Is that what you believe?
I believe that. I'm not going to say those particular names, but I am going to say people that were in communication and conversation with him were being wiretapped, and therefore his part of the conversation was being recorded and picked up. Yes.
And where are you getting your information?
From the news media.
Because the news media that I know of, CNN, has reported that the federal government does listen in on foreign countries' communications, such as Russia.
That's correct.
And when they hear an American on those calls, that's called incidental collection. Sometimes Americans are caught up in incidental collection.
That's what I'm referencing, yes.
Go ahead, Scott.
I'll guarantee you, of any panelist sitting here right now, I was a true Democrat, blue and blue, until I went to one of Mr. Trump's rallies. Truthfully, and I heard the word. And I heard.
What word? What did he say to you that changed you?
Just everything in general. Healthcare, things where he was going to change, not let Washington push him around. I thought he could go to Washington and make changes. I didn't vote for him to go to Washington and threaten judges, threaten people, threaten Congress. I didn't vote for that rhetoric. I didn't vote for him to go to Twitter and lie on Twitter. I changed my vote.
Twitter all throughout the.
But still, the point is, I didn't get on Twitter and I didn't follow Mr. Trump until I actually believed what he was actually saying.
Okay, so a little bit of context. Scott, there in the red shirt, he was a registered Democrat. He was so inspired by Mr. Trump that he went to his rallies. He was excited about Donald Trump as a candidate. So he is the one now who's having voters' remorse.
Right. And again, that voter as a species is a rare voter. Democrats who went for Trump. There are some. But I don't think you can find an analysis that says that's why he won. But, it never ceases to amaze me how, look, and it's not just Trump voters. He is uniquely fortunate that he has the kind of connection with his base at this point that he still has. But when someone believes in politics, the hardest thing to do with voters, I've seen this for a lifetime, is when I make a decision to vote for you, it's really hard to get somebody to make me say I made a mistake.
Absolutely.
People don't like to
that's
say
human nature, and I think that we see that. But they genuinely like what they've seen with the executive actions, everything. Tomorrow, we have more for you. We ask them how they feel about Mr. Trump's changing positions on things like Syria or China or Russia. So you'll hear how they're feeling about all of that.
And remember,